You're watching Me Talk Media, and I'm here, CJ. Welcome back to another album ranking. And today's album ranking in the new place, the first one, and my return to this series is going to be Ice Nine Kills. One of the bands that have been clawing their way to the top of the metalcore scene for a very long time. They've been trying for a very long time, basically 20 years of trying, and finally made it through with the Silver Scream. So yeah, I'm gonna be going through this band. I discovered them in 2021 when I think 2022 when I seen them on the tour with Motionless in White and Black Veil Brides. So got the exposure there. And yeah, let's get into it. Last Chance to Make Amends is number 6, the worst album that they've done. Not bad, but not good. It's early in Ice Nine Kills' career. They were a pop punk band, and this is their pop punk release. I'm not really a huge fan of pop punk. I don't really connect with pop punk too much because I never really grew up on it. I grew up on like metalcore and thrash metal, but yeah, I really never grew up on pop punk. Just really never find myself listening to this album because, well, not a huge pop punk fan. Ice Nine Kills debut is a weird listen, knowing that later they made metalcore masterpieces and concept albums. But for that last chance, the last chance to make amends falls at the bottom. 3 out of 10. My favorite song on this album is "I Do and I Don't." Best song on the album, hands down. It's actually a pretty good song. And yeah, that's all I got to really say about their first album. Not really a huge fan of it. Number 5 is Safe is Just a Shadow, Ice Nine Kills' first metalcore release. And while it's like 2010's metalcore, not really anything that sets it apart. But Safe is Just a Shadow is still a fun listen. It's still got like a lot of great stuff on it. This album shows how Ice Nine Kills evolved into the sound they have now. For this period of metalcore, the screaming on this album is better than most, honestly. It's a lot better than some of the other bands at the time, and I don't really know why they didn't get big off this album. They should have, definitely, because Safe is Just a Shadow is actually pretty good, and it's along the lines of like of Mice and Men and Memphis May Fire at the time. Kind of has that same tinge to it, but yeah, it should have made it big, but it didn't. 8.8 out of 10. My favorite song is Proximity Mines on the Complex. It's the first song in the album. It just hits hard to start it, and it's just great. Number 4, The Predator Becomes the Prey. The evolution continues with the third album, with this one being the turning point of Ice Nine Kills, as the riffs are better and the overall sound is better than the previous two. I'm going to say that this is where the musical direction changed here. You could hear some of their later stuff on this, but you could still hear the Safe is Just a Shadow a little bit. But yeah, this is like the transitional album, and this album is the only emo metalcore album that Ice Nine Kills ever made, and it still stands as a traditional to the modern day. I know a lot of people are going to be like, how can you say this is the only emo one? But it's along the lines of like the first like few EPs from Motionless in White. It has some of those like weird song titles. And yeah. An example of the evolution on this album is the destructive breakdowns. I know they have a lot of like really destructive breakdowns on the later stuff, and yeah, this one does have that as well. And my favorite song is What I Never Learned in Study Hall, probably the best song that they have on this album. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. It's a 9.3 out of 10. It's like where they started to go to that turning point. Now we have number 3, which is controversial, is the Silver Scream Part 1. I didn't show the this one before, so there you go. Silver Scream Part 1, or the Silver Scream from 2018. the first horror concept album, the album that broke Ice Nine Kills through to the mainstream. The big thing about the Silver Scream is how relatable it is to most of the scene. I know as a metalcore fan, I'm also a horror fan, and a lot of other people in the scene are. This is where Ice Nine Kills really did connect with the audience they were going for. Metal and horror is always mixed well. I know, like Cannibal Corpse and Exhumed, all those bands really did make it big on the gore and the horror type thing, but not really a band has ever done like full albums about like horror movies, because this was kind of a fresh idea, and it isn't fresh anymore, honestly, but they could still probably do something else with it. I'll get to that later. The horror movies that Ice Nine Kills picks to write about are the classics like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and It. The album is fun, enjoyable, and connect even with the beginner listener, because a lot of the beginner people that get into metal are in it basically out of, yeah, they like horror movies. A lot of people do. It's one of the most popular genres, and that's why the Silver Scream became so big. That's why Ice Nine Kills became so big, because people connected with this album. 10 out of 10, my favorite song from the Silver Scream is It Is the End, or the one based off of It. And other ones are like American Nightmare, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street, another one of the classics, and Savages, which is based off of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of my favorite movies of all time. And Rocking the Boat, which is Jaws, which is a kind of a weird one to write about in a horror movie stuff, because a lot of people don't consider this a horror movie. I actually do, but a lot of people don't, so I've heard a lot of things about that. But yeah. Number 2 is Every Trick in the Book, the album before the Silver Scream, which is, oh well, that dropped something off my desk. Oh well. Every Trick in the Book from 2016. Amazing album, honestly. Absolutely love everything on this. I know what you're going to say. Why did you put this album above Silver Scream? Well, the reason is simple. I love everything about this one. This album is the first concept release that Ice Nine Kills made, and what a concept literature. The only thing why this album didn't make an impact is because most people in the metalcore and metal community do not connect with literature too much, and it was kind of a misstep to write an album about literature. It really was a big misstep. I know I connect with a lot of literature, like books like Lord of the Flies and some of the like Edgar Allan Poe stuff, and even Alice in Wonderland and People of the Attic, and Frank's Diaries. I connect with a lot of that stuff, but I know a lot of people in the metal scene that aren't really huge on literature, and that's why it didn't really make a hit towards the metal scene. The horror concept worked a whole lot better, but I still consider this one of their best, because, well, my favorite song is Everything on this album. The album is truly a masterpiece and shows the band's growth and maturity. This album is really mature for this band, but yeah, it didn't connect because, well, not a whole lot of people in the metal community connect with literature too much. That's basically why that happened. Number 1, you already know what number 1 is. The Silver Scream 2. Welcome to Horrorwood. What to say about this one? My opinion, Silver Scream 2 is better than the first one in every way. It's a step up from like every album that they've done so far. This is Ice Nine Kills' best, hands down. I know people will disagree, but I really don't care, as this is my opinion, and I think this one's the best. All the songs are catchy. The screams are top notch. The main thing I like about how I can tell how I can tell which horror movies they're referencing all the way through this album, basically, because they pick a lot of the mainstream ones, but then also pick some of the ones that are kind of like more obscure for like the people that dive really deep into this, like The Fly and Hellraiser. I really do like this album. The album was my introduction to Ice Nine Kills. I did listen to this one before I seen them in 2022, because it was my first introduction to them was this album and then the live show. Then I went to check out Silver Scream and their other records. And yeah, that's probably why I like this album the most, because it was the first one I listened to and the first one that I actually like bought. Some of the horror, they write about some of the classics as well on this one, like Child's Play, Pet Sematary, and American Psycho. The American Psycho song is absolutely amazing. The whole Hip to Be Scared, which is absolutely a great song. I absolutely love it. And yeah, they throw in the. I like how they throw in the like death scenes and shit into the songs. I definitely like that too. Only concern on this band now is how they could write another album to appease the fans that want more horror movie stuff. That's the one thing. They'd be kind of like Ailstorm, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Hopefully that's not going to be the case, but kind of looks like it. They might have to go into more horror movies that aren't really popular enough. I know there's ones I haven't wrote about, like Scream and Children of the Corn. I don't think they. Yeah, they haven't wrote one about Children of the Corn yet. That might be the next one. Hopefully, I do like that one as well. There's other ones like Maniac, the Maniac, the same like person that did the Friday the 13th series, the first like 3 of them, also did a movie called Maniac, which is another good one. There's also The Prowler, which is uh, ex yeah, there's also The Town That Dreaded Sundown. There's some other good ones they could do about write about, but yeah, it's kind of running thin. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully or maybe they'll go with a new concept and somehow connect with the fans. But yeah, this niche they got themselves into might backfire heavily on them, but hopefully not. It's one of my favorite bands out there right now. And yeah, that's what I think about Ice Nine Kills. Hopefully everybody liked it. Hopefully nobody's mad that I didn't put Silver Scream #1. It's my opinion. But yeah, I will see everyone in the next video.